Scarbs, good to see you again. Looking healthier by the day. Not you didn't look healthy at the Force India launch. You look great, mate. But good to chat to you again. A lot's happened, indeed, since that launch. On the same day, of course, Ferrari, and you very kindly went through the new Ferrari for us in great detail. And then the next day, or 2 days later, we had the new Red Bull. Your impressions of that?
Well, the Red Bull was, in design terms, a bit of a disappointment. There wasn't a lot on there that we picked up that was particularly new, which is probably not what we were expecting. I thought Adrian may have something a bit more up his sleeve. But then again, the car can change a lot between now and Melbourne. No doubt it will. But equally, Newey's been quite honest with everyone, said that their development push in the late part of last year really left them on the back foot in developing this year's car. So the car that they launched on Sunday was literally just finished and was rolled out. Couple of areas where we've detected some differences, the main one being the nose. Quite obviously, the nose rules have changed this year. Red Bull have followed something of the path they had last year. They have a relatively no nose cone and then a slight step up to the chassis. But whereas last year, where they had this letterbox slot at the top of the chassis, which was for, as a primary purpose at least, cooling the driver, but it was actually there more as a way of improving the airflow over the step in the nose. That's gone. But interestingly, the nose still retains a slot underneath, which is a Sauber idea, which Red Bull have copied, which was somewhat surprising. As you may remember, last year Sauber's nose had a slot underneath it, which then fed up into a duct inside the nose, which then blew out over a rear-facing slot on the back of the nose cone. And again, this was both to improve the airflow under the nose and also keep the airflow attached, pass on over the step on the nose. So it's interesting that he's not afraid to copy ideas quite close to home on the Sauber there.
Yes, and one wonders whether, as you say, we might yet see that slot appearing on the Red Bull as testing becomes the Australian Grand Prix as things move a little bit nearer. And just on that business of Adrian not being afraid to copy, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think Coanda actually, if we look back now, was started by Sauber in 2011.
Yes, I mean, their side pod philosophy did very much follow what Sauber were doing. They added the tunnels, and that's the design that, again, remains on the car for this year, or for testing at least. Obviously, over the past few years, we've been quite used to Red Bull surprising us in the last few days of testing with a completely different side pod setup. So, yeah, it's another idea. And interestingly, they've copied yet another Sauber idea at the very back of the car, where the lower beam wing, which is the small part of the wing that attaches near the gearbox, is mounted with a nearly identical support to what Sauber were using last year. So some interesting comparisons between the two cars.
Indeed, and one I would imagine also in Adrian's mind, he's thinking cast iron reliability in 2013 after some valuable points went away from them in 2012. I wonder if, from the outside looking in, it's very difficult, I know, to see what's happening alternator-wise or battery position-wise, but I assume that's been one of their focuses as well.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people were asking questions to Adrian about. I asked him about the pushrod front suspension. What did they look at other areas? Other people were talking about other solutions around the car, and he was quite clear to say that he doesn't want to make big visual changes for the sake of it. He's trying to keep things simple, trying to work on the details. So maybe the car won't look particularly different this year, but that obviously is not to say that it won't be blindingly fast at some point.
Well, that's right, and a great race team as well.